here. Okay. Fireside. I believe she's in there. Ask Kylie. Or Candace, sorry. Candace. Do we need the talking box? Sit over for a second. I'm going to sit by you. Hey, whoa, sheesh. Hello. Do I need this? Yeah, I probably do, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, well, welcome everybody. See, I'm looking around for some familiar faces, and I don't know many of you somehow. I've seen some of you before. Well, welcome here tonight. We actually, this kind of came to be, these kind of chats started a couple of years ago, and they were totally informal. It just all of a sudden happened. So the last 2 years, we've kind of tried to organize it, still kind of keep the spontaneity in it, and kind of just find places to meet. But also to try to organize a little bit with some of our amazing leaders who are here with us, Ange Peters and Jill Winger, who are with us tonight to talk about maximizing incentives. So what we hope to get out of this is obviously we want you guys to pick their brains, because these are two people who are amazing at incentives and using them, and maintaining the growth after the incentive maybe is over, right? But we also want it to be a dialogue, so just asking questions. So if you've got questions, raise your hands. Ask the questions, ask the tough questions, because we want to make sure we get out of as much as we can. So we've got about probably 45 minutes probably, and then we can just kind of go from there, and we'll see how it goes.
All right.
All right? You ready?
There you go.
Hi.
All right. So we should have brought incentives for you guys, right? That would have been the epic win for this group. So I'm Ange Peters. I've been building for about 4 years, and I'm in Canada. And I'm going to open up just sharing real quick about my story. And then I'm going to focus on the builder side, because we kind of have two businesses within our business, right? We have our builders that we need to take care of and our customers, and they both take equal mind share for us as the leader. So I want to start off, though, by sharing the biggest mistake I made when I started. How many of you before doTERRA were an entrepreneur? Raise your hands. So you, like me and Jill, were very used to running the show, right? You were used to coming up with your own content. You were used to being the creator. You were used to being the expert at what you did. And you will probably relate to me saying this, but this really came back to bite me in my first year in doTERRA, because I hit the ground running. I had all these ideas, and I was investing so much of my own time into creating all these tools and programs and incentives for my team. But that ended up creating a super unduplicatable format, something that was going to require me to be plugged in to everything for the rest of my life. And when I really started to understand, okay, so this doesn't work the way I used to run things before doTERRA. This is actually a plug-and-play business. This is literally somewhere you can come in with your own gifts and just truly get out there and be creative and shine, and not spend time having to create everything. And that could be a tough thing for people when they come in. And I actually hear this from people on my team who have been in other network marketing companies even. It's not like this everywhere, where you have this cross-collaborative love and sharing, and this culture of everything really there for you so that you can just get out there and rock your business. That's unusual, okay? So that was a hurdle for me for sure. I just wanted to turn the mic over to Jill, because I think she had a little bit of a similar experience being an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah, definitely. So, I think we love to create. I think most of us are creators. There's a lot of that energy going on, so it's really tempting to go big and get super crazy. And I know there's been several times, especially at the beginning, where I would offer these super complicated incentives for customers or for builders. I know we did one. It's not a bad incentive. We did it in December. It was like 30 days of Christmas, and I gave away an oil every day, and it was fun, and I felt like I was blessing the team, and it was super exciting. But I had leaders coming to me later and going, I can never do that. I feel really bad. I can't give that to my team. I'm like, no, that wasn't my intention. My intention was so we could have this fun community, but it wasn't duplicatable, and it was a little almost too creative, if that makes sense. And so since then, I've been really careful. I can give to the team, I can love on the team, but making sure that what I'm doing, my leaders aren't looking at and going, that's impossible and that's deflating. So, it's a great balance. We have some good resources for sure.
That was a great introduction. I loved hearing that background. Does anybody kind of resonate with that? Yeah, I mean, I saw everybody was going through, they're like, yeah. So maybe I'll ask one question, and you don't have to answer these right now, but maybe just give us an idea. What did you come to why did you come to this particular breakout? I mean, there's some amazing breakouts, and this one is included in that amazing. But what was it that drew you to this one, and what were you hoping to get out of this one? Just hear some thoughts from you guys.
Maximizing opportunities.
So what do you mean by that? Define that a little
Well,
bit.
when I saw the subject of this, I thought, okay, we're going to touch on some of the incentives and some of the stuff that's already out there that you don't need to recreate. I'm a creator. I used to be an educator. I have a need and a love for that, and sometimes I think that gets the best of me. Like you're saying, I can relate to that, and so I want to know how you maximize doTERRA's, BOGOs and maybe seasons almost. And I know there was another talk on seasons, but I think they kind of align together, and those are that's sort of the reason that I'm here today, just to see your take on that.
That's great. There's another hand over here somewhere. Yeah, please.
My team loves Ange. They all follow you.
We all love
They
it.
all follow you, so I had to come.
Is your team here?
No, so I have to report back to them.
No pressure.
That's
But
awesome.
because you told
That's
me,
awesome.
they'll follow it.
And I think when you're
What
new,
else?
you don't even know what the incentives are.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so new, 11 months in, that I'm just like, I just want to know. But how do you take that BOGO? Like, yeah, we hit crazy response, and we hit new ranks.
It's fantastic.
But then what do you do after to, like, the follow-up and the pieces that must come into play to, like, just go to the next
Yeah,
level?
absolutely. That's
'Cause
fantastic.
that's what
Here
we want.
and
We don't
there.
want just a 1 month one and done
Absolutely.
deal.
Absolutely.
So when I think about incentivizing hostesses to want to have a class, and I'm competing with like other MLMs, you have this layout of this is what you get when you have a class. I have a hard time making them aware of the benefits of having oils, and that is the biggest benefit of having a class, is having that healthy part in your family. But they want to invite their friends, and and multiplying that
Yep.
is hard for me.
Yep.
Because they see what they can get from other companies when they have a
Right.
class.
Like Scentsy is
Right.
huge in
And-
our area.
and- but
we're like, no, it's not the same. Terribly not the same.
Yeah. Great. And there's one more, and then they've got some planned notes here. I just wanted to kind of hear where everybody's brains were at the beginning. So.
And I'm not sure if this was what we're going to talk about, but like incentivize, like using your bonus to incentivize your builders is really intriguing to me.
Okay. Great.
How to help them.
Great. All right. I think that's good. Now, turn back over to you guys.
Yeah, I'll keep those points in mind as I share on the business side, and then Jill's gonna, she's brilliant at product and BOGOs. She's gonna address your question about BOGOs and making that something to leverage. So, okay, so I'm a big planner. I really think that success is scheduled. Okay, I come from that school of thinking where, be intentional about when your growth season's gonna be in your business. So whether you use a calendar or not after tonight, you're all going to use a calendar, okay? Especially if you're brand new in your business, because something you need to know is there are definitely seasons to what we do. So January was a little bit of an exhale, right? Everyone was taking some extra naps in January, right? So it was, this does happen in doTERRA, sometimes January, August, we see these periods where people need to take a bit of a step back. But we definitely have seasons that are like crush it time. So you need to mentally be prepared for what's coming, right? We're entering that right now. We're entering crush it season. You're going to see your classes start to fill up. You need to understand that there are things that are going to motivate your builders now because of the timing. So one of the things that just kicked off a couple days ago is Diamond Club. So this is the first company incentive I really want to talk about, because there's 4 actually I'm going to share with you that I pour a lot of energy around into my team. So Diamond Club happens twice a year. Twice? Yes. In my head, I'm like, 3 times? No, twice. So twice a year. It runs for 4 months, but you have to qualify to be in it. So in Canada, the rank is actually premier, and in the US, it's silver, right? So this is something that I personally would be talking up with my team 2 months out, before that qualification period starts. So back in October, November, I'm talking about Diamond Club. I'm starting to talk it up with them. I'm starting to share the whys, because it's a big unknown for a lot of people, especially if you as leaders haven't gone through it yet. And maybe some of you might be at the rank of Diamond and never did it. I know I never actually did Diamond Club, but I was kind of running my own at the time. But 90% of the diamonds in doTERRA have done Diamond Club at least once. So typically, if you've done it, your team will know all about it. But if you haven't, then you're going to want to talk up that program, because this is what is going to excite your elites and your current premiers to go for that next rank of silver. Okay, so silver opens up a lot of other things for them. The second thing would be leadership, right? And one last thing I want to say about Diamond Club. Do you guys have any questions about how, why it's such an amazing program? It creates that accountability for people that will not do it for themselves. Because the biggest issue we have here is we don't like to go to work as hard for ourselves as we will for a boss. It's a huge hurdle for people. So Diamond Club creates that accountability that they're going to be needing to help them at the very least, stabilize their current rank. But that rarely just happens, right? They usually will grow to at least 1 or 2 ranks from that program. But they also get out there and they totally love on their team and other teams. It's a real cross collaboration, okay? So very important program to get behind. And if you're going to start scheduling after tonight, you look at, you know that the qualifications are in January for the program that runs 4 months, starting in February. And then again, the qualifications are in July for August to November. Okay, so if you're planning for that, you can plan your time to be talking that up with your team. So the second thing is leadership. So leadership is one of those events that I will market to my team like, this will change your life. I tell them, if you're planning to grow and live your dream life here, you're going to be at leadership. And it like hurts my heart when I have silvers that are not planning to go to leadership, because often they're looking at the cost of it. And so, I don't advertise this team-wide, but if I have some silvers who I know need to be there and for whatever reason they can't be, I'll give them a call and we'll figure something out. If it's helping them with childcare or helping them with some sort of a program around helping with their flights or something. You don't do this because some people get how important that investment is right up front. And it is a huge investment, but it will completely change your life and your business. So that's a really crucial piece. And I love that they extended it to February, because I had about a handful of them that were really working hard for it in January to hit silver, and they just missed it. And so right when they announced that, I got right on the horn with them, and we they're totally in the zone now, because that was like the biggest lift for their spirit. So that was a real gift to our business that they extended that.
Is everybody aware of that?
Yeah.
That change?
Yes.
Okay, good. So
Awesome.
if they just extend it to February, you can still rank as a silver or even as a diamond if you're going to do that too in February, and that still counts.
Yeah, normally the qualifications will be up until January, so I think it's August to January. So again, you work backwards, right? This is where the planning comes in. So if you have elites and premiers that need to be there, you're working with them on hitting that rank of silver. So one of the things I created was a simple checklist for my team when they're ready to rank up. And these are things that we're all accustomed to doing, checking our numbers middle of the month, right? Because that's when we have a pretty accurate picture of our business, and using that to plan for the next month. Just planning in their classes mid-month, the month before, for the next month, right? So not starting a month with this goal, but having it the month before. So getting your team always forward thinking if their goal is to be at an event like leadership. How about this incentive trip? This is a big one for people in their first year of business. And personally, what I do to motivate my team to consider this is I'm telling them right now while I'm here, I'm posting pictures onto my Facebook business wall, telling them these need to go on your vision board. You need to be here next year. So I'm sharing a lot of the energy of this week while I'm here, because that would be really selfish of me to keep these moments to myself, right? And to go home, and I would probably delay posting and forget about posting after I get home. So while I'm here, I want to share that excitement with them, but I want them to take action on the emotion they're feeling of seeing what we're all experiencing here. Because this starts that process for a lot of them. So a lot of your new builders are going to want to qualify this year because of how you guys are all sharing being here. Okay, so think about those new builders that you just know are going to be in this for the long haul with you. Make sure they know this needs to be on their vision board for next year. And I think qualifications open up in March, right? And they run till July or August.
It's August. July. I think it's July or August. I can't remember, but I want to say it's August.
They sometimes extend it, right? Yeah. So I don't plan on them extending. So just work that into your planning there. And then the last one's convention. So convention is another one of those events that once those tickets go on sale March 1st, okay, you're going to like raise the excitement level in your teams. And one of the quickest ways to do that is to create a spreadsheet, like on Google or something, where you ask people to add their name as soon as they bought their ticket. So it starts to create some excitement on your team. Maybe you organize a team breakfast or lunch or dinner, something little extra that's going to help them feel connected to you while you're there. You might invest in a little bit of swag or something for your team, especially if you're a brand new. I mean, how many of you are in your first year building? Yeah, like a handful of you are. So you have that prime opportunity to set the tone of the culture of your team. So here's the coolest thing. I remember hearing, once you have your first 100 people at an event, you could pretty much walk away from your business for the rest of your life. Not that you're going to. I mean, this is why we have like M1s, M2s, M3s, and all this going on, because we'll never stop sharing our love for the oils. Like it's not about a rank at the end of the day. It's really about our love for the oils. So, but truly, once you do have that many people at an event like convention, you now have a business that's going to be there taking care of you for the rest of your life. So maybe that's a goal that you all have, is to create more excitement around these events. That is the most powerful thing you can do for your team, is to get them out to events. So think about how, March 1st, once those tickets go on sale, think about what your plan's going to be. I really like to operate from this place of being ready for anything. If they announce a BOGO tomorrow, what's my plan? I'm not going to scramble. I'm going to have a kit ready to go. And by kit, I mean I build Google. I love Google Docs. I use them for everything. They're free, so you can. And I think that if you're going to do something once, do it. Never have to do it again. So if you're creating if you have a successful BOGO, let's say, don't just go on to the next thing. Take notes on what went well and create, a template for the next time. So you're always doing things once and kind of living off that forever. So those are the four things, right? So we have Diamond Club, Incentive Trip, Leadership, and Convention. And the cool thing is, if you actually focus on planning for these properly, you'll realize the framework for motivating your team has already been done for you. You don't need to go out of your way creating all these extra events. I mean, wellness summits, regional events, these are another great example I didn't even mention, but all of that is already planned for you guys. So the good news is you don't need to invest your time creating all of these programs to try to motivate your builders. Just get them out to events and create a lot of excitement with your team around that conversation. We're going to see things get a lot simpler. I know if you think about Empowered Success launching, the real message of that launch was common language for us all, and simple tools that if we enrolled a builder tomorrow, they could come in and just run and do this business. So, as I was thinking about incentives, I think a lot of the conversation is more around customers and product, but we do have that business side where, you don't have to be doing a lot of extras to get your team out to it. So those are my thoughts there. Let's go over to product.
Thanks, Ange. That was awesome. Isn't it amazing how simple it can be if we just let it be simple? We don't let it be simple. So
that is the problem.
Yes, it is the problem. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Jill Winger, and I have a little bit of a different story with how I started doTERRA. I have done a lot of online building, but I teach my team how to build locally. So we have really a pretty normal team, as people are like, oh, you must have all bloggers and social media people on your team, and we really don't. We have just regular, local builders, just like most of you. So I've done a lot of playing around with incentives. I've done it the wrong way. I've done it hopefully the right way, and so I've had lots of trial and error. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about maximizing some of the product incentives that come along. And then I think the first overarching tip I would have for you that I've learned is simplicity, right? And one of the best things I found, so I communicate a lot online, my team is very spread out, and so I don't have, and some of you probably do have, raise your hand if you have a lot of out-of-area people on your team. So you are communicating email and text and Facebook and things like that. The biggest thing I see that my leaders struggle with is not creating that voice around the promotion. And I'm not saying redo the promotion or make it complicated, but you want to take, let's say there's a 200 PV promo, right, frankincense. How can you take what corporate is giving us and then in your voice and in your style, because the people were attracted to you in the first place, and disseminate that information to your team. And what I found is when I just share it, just share the promo as is, I get good response. But when I just take a moment and just write it, 3 sentences in my voice that they're used to and communicate with my personality and the style that they're accustomed to, people really click into it more. And then even going the next step, and like Ange was saying, call someone up. Hey, I noticed, you're going to place an order this month. If you bump it up to 200 PV, you're going to get the frankincense. Text the people who haven't ordered. Just that extra measure of that personalization has really been huge for our team versus just sharing it straight across. And anything I can do to simplify it, right? So our brains we don't operate well, and we have to make a lot of decisions. And so when I can make it easier for my customers and fewer decisions and fewer, okay, I have to do this and then I have to do this. If I can make it even simpler, again, same promotion, I'm not doing crazy things or adding things on, but if I can just break it down even more, I like to do everything in 3s. So I'm like, step 1, bullet point, I love bullets. Step 2, and that really helps my customers, especially the ones I can't communicate with face-to-face. Face-to-face is always the easiest, but if you're doing things phone, email, text, that's the best thing I can advise you is just keep it simple and break it down for people as much as you can. Make sense? Anybody want to talk about BOGOs?
Yes.
Yay? Okay, so we've tried a number of different BOGO ideas, and there's some really cool ones floating around. And so we've done the groups. Has everyone here seen the groups, tried the groups? So you familiar with that idea? Okay. So I did my group a little bit different last round. Sorry, and it actually was my most successful BOGO to date. And again, there's lots of different ways to do this, so flow with what's feels right for you and your team. But the first time we did it, we tried the method of having taking people's orders and placing orders for them, right? And that worked. We had some great momentum. That was awesome. But honestly, I got really exhausted with shipping. Anybody had that problem? You're like, you're getting buried in doTERRA boxes, right? And I was seeing some of my silvers and my elites who did awesome. They rocked the BOGOs, and they were like, Jill, I can't sleep. I'm just living at the post office. And I'm like, we can't. This is not good. It is good, but it's a good problem to have. But it was exhausting. So this last time, I did a little bit of an experiment. And I focused on, once I got people into my BOGO group, does anybody need me to explain the BOGO group on Facebook?
I think do that. Explain
Okay,
it.
great.
Yeah, for sure.
So, when doTERRA announces a BOGO, this is what my team does, is we reach out via Facebook, text, phone calls, face-to-face, and we say, oh my gosh, this rarely happens. doTERRA's doing this amazing buy one, get one free deal. And it's going to happen this Monday to this Friday, and this is extremely exciting because you're going to get free oils that are not usually available like this. Do you want to get into my group so I can keep you updated on what's going to happen? And I've had people who have put me off for 5 years on oils say, yes, I'm ready. There's the word BOGO is magic. So we get them into this Facebook group. Or if you don't do Facebook, you can do an email list or, mass text, something, do what works for you. But the goal is to get these people into your community, into a community. And then once they're there, you can do a variety of things. One thing we did was take orders, like if someone was not enrolled and they weren't working with someone else, right, you're really careful not to take people from other teams or people from other leaders. But if they're completely, not associated with another doTERRA wellness advocate, we would order for them and then ship it out. And it was great, and it was fun until you had 50 million doTERRA boxes in your living room. But these groups, the thing to pay attention to is these groups created a community and a chance for education that for some reason certain people were ignoring for years prior, and they just kind of woke them up. And so I kept that group idea with this other strategy, but I said I cannot physically go to the post office that much. So what I did instead is same thing. We're doing BOGOs. It's amazing. Come in our group. It's our special VIP secret special sauce group. And we got them in there and we educated them. But when it was time for the BOGO, and this was key, is I said, go ahead and sign up for your wholesale membership. So I usually always enroll people with kits, right? That's my rule. I always do kits. And this is the first time I've ever told someone, hey, just start with your wholesale membership. Go ahead, Sunday or Monday morning, get your $35 membership, get it done. Because I'm going to draw for a free membership at the end of the week. And so what I did is I would, out of all the people who enrolled, and then they're ordering every day, they got their membership, they're having it shipped directly to their house, so not to my house, and they're learning their back office, they're learning how to do it all themselves, and then at the end of the week we drew for a free membership, and I PayPal'd them $35. But just that, people ate that up. Like, it was amazing. If you have a ton of people in your group, you could do 3 memberships. If you have a small amount of people, you could do 1 membership. But that combined with the education we provided that week, I did a live video every day. It's buy Melaleuca, get peppermint free. So I talk about the 2 oils. I'd hold them up in the video, and I'd show them how to apply, and I'd give them tips. And we would post different graphics and recipes according to what that daily oil was. And it generated a ton of excitement. And that was our most successful BOGO promotion to date, and I didn't mail a single oil out. And there's the relay. Have you ever done the relays?
I've heard of them.
I've heard of the relays. I couldn't give you an educated explanation of those. So there's different strategies, but it's just sometimes thinking of something from a different angle. It can really it was that little tweak of that we're going to give away a free membership that really got people inspired.
Do you make it a group or an event? And then if it's a group, do you continue the education throughout? And then like the next time there's BOGOs, you announce it again and keep it the same group?
I have done the group. I think you could do an event pretty easily. I've kept my group the same. I refresh it. So I'll have my assistant go through and delete old posts when I know the BOGO's coming so they don't get confused. And I keep it the same BOGO group. And then I'll say, we're having new BOGOs. If you really don't want to hear about it, you can leave now or, stay in and ride the excitement. But that's worked pretty well for us. And someone asked about the continuing education after that, and I think that's really a key piece. Is it's really important we don't enroll in and just we're just disposable enrollments. That's what we don't want. And so the key piece is, and the cool part is with this format, people are already used to being educated in that group model, and they're listening to that and they're hearing that. So after someone enrolls, what we do. They're online with us, or if you're doing more local, you're going to do this in person. For us, we just do a 2-week-long educational Facebook event, and we just take them through the top 10 basic oils. And it's very basic information. It's stuff that you're going to have easily accessible in all the doTERRA materials. A lot of it's cutting and pasting from the doTERRA product information pages, or using the graphics that doTERRA has provided us. But that's how we nurture them after the BOGOs or after a promotion like that, to make sure that they understand LRP and they understand how to use their oils. And a lot of people order more after that period because they see the potential of the rest of the oils they might not have yet. So that's how we maximize that.
Yeah, the one other thing I wanted to mention, the Empowered Life webinars are an excellent way to add value to your customers without it costing you anything. So a lot of you do follow-ups, right, to enroll. So one of the ways to stagger the types of connections you're doing with your warm market is, rather than just sending them promos or just checking in kind of messages, is build up a library of all of those Empowered Life topics, so that when you're talking to a mom with kids, you could send her that one just specifically for using oils with kids or back to school. Or when you're talking to a CrossFitter, you could send them the one on athletes and oils. So those are all there for you. And I think it's just important, again, to keep looking at all the things that are already there that doTERRA has created. You literally do not have to create anything anymore. And I think, at least for me, you've been building for 4 years? 5. 4 or 5. So around the time when we started, and some of you maybe have been around that long too, I think there was a little more of a need for it then, for us to create a lot of our own stuff. But now what it's really about is you guys showing up as you, and not being behind a screen creating all these things anymore. That's the real goal, because people need to feel who you are. So that's the good news. You don't have to be, super creative. You don't have to be talented in making programs and ebooks and newsletter lists and all these things. It's all there for you. So really what you need to become good at is being resourceful and connecting people to what they're actually needing, and that's true value. And I think, sometimes our own self-worth comes into this, where we think we have to over-incentivize people to enroll with us, or our builders to build with us. Somebody asked about putting money into people rank advancing. Was that your question? Whether to invest your own money into them to do it?
Heard it last month.
Yeah, I've heard of it too. I'm not a fan. I personally have never done that. I think there's a lot of different strategies in doTERRA, but I think the more you can hold the space for your team, that this is the best business in the world. It does not get better than this. And I know some of you are still on the new end of your belief level around this, but trust me, you will not believe how incredible this business is as you keep going. And if you set that kind of, hold that space for people, you don't want to create something that you're not going to be able to continue doing throughout, and that you don't want your leaders to feel like they have to keep doing. So if you're putting money into people rank advancing, that doesn't feel good to tell your leaders that's what you did to help your leaders grow, and that they have to do that too, because they don't. This business is that good. So if you're new in your business, or even if you're not, think about what kind of culture you want to create, and how you want to honor that doTERRA, like everything is there for you. It truly is the most amazing business. It just keeps getting better and better. Our compensation plan is the best in the industry. It will take care of them if they do the steps. So I would not encourage that. I think let the comp plan and the rank goals do the shine, because it's all been done. Like the one last thing I'll say, and then we'll go to Q&A maybe. How are we for time?
Yeah.
Oh, we're good.
Time
Okay,
for Q&A.
perfect. The one last thing I want to say, when doTERRA launched that the empowerment bonus for premiers and silvers, that is completely unusual. Actually, strange that they did that, right? Like most of their companies, if you've been in other network marketing companies, they're taking away from people by year 8, 9, or 10. So for doTERRA to actually beef it up even more for our beginning leaders, that was really exciting for any of you who are at the higher levels that depend on people being at Premier and Silver, because that created a lot more solidarity and just retention within your own business. So that's what kind of company you're part of. You do not need to be putting your own money into growing your business that way. So my 2 cents. Let's do we pass the mic or just shout out?
I think we can hear. It's a little quieter now, so don't point that towards her. That's when it goes crazy. Yeah, please.
I just had a specific question for Jill about how you ran the last BOGO when you said you were enrolling people with memberships. How about all the people who are already members? You're not placing orders for all those people? Because that's a big way to, shore up volume and then place it strategically to help rank advance. So were you just letting everyone order through their own account and you were only enrolling new members and having them do the BOGOs?
Yeah, I didn't. I personally didn't place. I don't place orders for people who have an account. I just don't. And so I encourage them. I had people come to me, and sometimes, in the past when I had offered to place orders at like the first BOGO, I had people who are on my team say, "Can you place an order for me?" And I'm like, "No, I'll show you how to get into your back office. You're going to want to know how to do this anyway," and just encourage them to do it there. So that's kind of my strategy for that. Does that make sense?
It totally does. Okay. It's just very different from how a lot of other people are doing it and playing the BOGO. So
you can't. I have team leaders who go do that deeper. And usually, if there is a place where we need volume, I'm trying to have that meet myself or that leader reach in and say, okay, let's, how can we keep that there and I try not to move too much around because I feel like it gets a little bit confusing. But I mean, that is one strategy, and I did try that in the past. But now I'm more getting having my leaders or having those legs kind of see what they can do to try to generate that interest.
Could everybody hear that question okay? Did that work okay? All right, cool, great.
Can I just mention how the relay works for us? Because I think it fits like a fulfilling your question as well. So like into our teams or our structure from our position, and now we would do like, if we would incentivize like a leg that needs to grow, then we would do the BOGO relay from that person that is the head and it's the volume, and then working with the customers or the people under them to generate. So we'd pick 5 people in that group, and everybody would commit to order every day. So okay, today's shipping, but they were very close, right? They're related. You don't have to ship to them. You can just go and go to each other's house at the end of the week, and then you just exchange the products within a very small group. Yes. So within a very small group. So then everybody's just paying one shipping, right? And even though you're going to get back in EV, and everybody is just committing to order every single BOGO for 5 days.
Thank you. Roxanne?
One of the problems that I have is actually getting team leaders to commit to working the incentives, right? They don't see the value in it for them, or I'm too busy, or this is too much work. So what are some of the strategies that you use to get buy-in?
I wait until they ask me why their business isn't growing, or they complain, and I ask how it's working for them, not promoting incentives.
Yeah.
So the thing is, when leaders, I mean, this is a bigger topic, when leaders just aren't doing the things that they should be, when they say their goal is this, but they're not doing the things to actually reach the goal, that's a bigger issue. It will always come around, because ultimately they'll quit on their business, or they'll come to you at some point saying, okay, I would love your advice. And that's where their heart is open, and you can actually say, can I give you some feedback? And they need to be more open to it, but also I think it's how we model, right? So if we create a lot of energy and excitement and model how we're taking action. So one of my things to do, I mean, I'm a presidential with a growing business, and I always like to, when I do the thing, I share the thing. That's how I work. I learn, I do, and I share. Okay, so if I'm going to market an incentive a certain way, I'm posting in my group. If I'm emailing people, I post an example of the email I just sent to all of my warm market for my team to use. It might be an Evernote or some kind of a note that they could copy and paste. If they want to do that until they have their own way, I think that that is our role, is to model, what we're promoting and what we're teaching. So that is one way I have found to, because sometimes you discover they just don't know how to find their voice, so they're going to borrow yours in the beginning, So, but sometimes they're closed off to taking action, and that's not for you to solve. They'll come to you if they're meant to grow.
I just have a question about your BOGO strategy, Jill. What about people that are not open in the very beginning to getting that wholesale membership? Do you have them purchase retail? And do you add your existing customers into that group as well, like your existing wholesale customers?
So anyone on my team can come in the BOGO group, and most of that is for people who just want to see how I'm doing it so they can duplicate it. My leaders who just want to see, what I'm using, and I say anything I post, you cut and paste, and you can use that in your own. As far as if someone doesn't want the membership, like this last time I didn't offer the ordering, I just didn't. So I said, if you want to wait till the end, you don't have to order, sign up on Monday. If you want to wait till Friday, and we get Friday's BOGO and buy your $35 membership then, or a kit or whatever, that's fine. But you'll miss out on, the ones that were Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and you can still get in on the drawing for the free membership. But you can, you're going to have that chance of missing out on the other 4 days. But I didn't, this last time I didn't offer any option really for retail other than to go ahead and get your membership.
Would they just, if they wanted retail, were they willing to just go to your website and place a retail order?
Possibly. I didn't tell them how.
That's key. Okay, how do you come to grips with selling that wholesale membership? That throws me off. I've sold one in 11 months.
You mean just the plain? Well, I don't ever sell it. Okay, here's the thing.
No, you're telling him to get the discount.
Yeah, but
I sell kits. Like you me out in your BOGO group, I'm like, I would never do a BOGO group saying do a $35.
So I did
I've never mentioned that.
The kit was up there, right? But I mean, the kit was an option. But for most of these people are people that I've offered the kit to 1,000 times. They could not hear kit.
So
they heard kit, and they're like, no.
Longer.
Yeah, but
I never
so usually when I see someone on my team who does the $35, I'm like, no.
Okay.
But this was the one exception because these people were closed off to me for other things. But please don't take that and be like, Jill Winger says only $35. No, kits, great. Okay. First choice, absolutely. This was these people who needed a different way. Okay. So, and their average order,
a couple years in.
Yeah, and their average order, I had about $80 to $100 per each people after they bought that $35 membership. So I'm like, you could have bought a kit, but that's fine. You're in. We got you. Now we're going to get you going.
They needed to do it.
So,
same thing. I have people that join with BOGOs, and then 3 months following, their LRPs are 200, and I'm like really? And like a month before, they couldn't afford the 150 kit, and I'm like, that's just amazing to me.
That's a key thing to know about sales. They're going to spend the money anyway. So when you shy away from sharing a diamond kit or something, they're going to spend that money anyway. So it's.
I don't shy.
This happens all the time.
Well,
we all would have done a bigger kit.
There's people you're going to reach during a BOGO week that you can't reach with a kit.
Right.
So it's just a different way.
It's a different way, yeah. But absolutely, if I have a choice, it'll be kit every single time. Yeah. Every single time.
Yes.
Jill, did you say, were you putting your wholesale customers in that group as well, or only the new ones?
I had leads in there, and I had, if you were a wholesale customer, you could come in, you didn't get the free membership. If you already had your membership, you didn't get that, but you could come in and get the education and the videos, and I had a ton come in and just watch how I was doing it. And I had people, I think I could do that. Maybe I want to share, or maybe I want to do the business.
We post in like our community group, like education on the BOGOs for our existing customers, but we struggle with what do we do with not existing customers because we're not going to let them into that group yet.
Yes. And one thing you can do, I don't know how big your team is if you have a bunch of sharers or really new leaders, you can create a non-team community group and then have everybody invite their leads there, and you can kind of help with that nurturing. And if those leaders aren't ready to do lives, or they're not ready to, they don't know where you're going to find the BOGO information from doTERRA yet, you can kind of come in there and you can work together to nurture the group. But just as long as people know that if so-and-so invited them, so-and-so gets the enrollment. And if you can keep that separate, that can be a really powerful way to get people nurtured.
So we've got about 10 minutes left. I know that hour went by pretty fast, didn't it? So probably about 3 or 4 more questions, give or take. And we'll try to keep it and end pretty close on time. So 1, then we'll go there. Okay.
All right, thank you. This has been really fantastic, so thank you for this. So with the BOGOs, what's the best, most effective way to get people in? I know people are not reading emails anymore. Do you do like a mass group text? Do you pick up the phone and call 100 people? What do you find is the most effective way to get them in and engaged?
So I'd say with the average, because I do a lot online, so for me I do different methods, but what I'm seeing working on my team is phone calls, right? Or seeing them at mom's groups or the gym. So the face-to-face is always first, and then phones next, and then text, and then anything social media is like down here as far as getting people to engage with you. So, the more eyeball contact you can have, the better. If that is an impossibility, do texting. It kind of depends on the person. I have some friends or some contacts who answer Facebook Messenger like that, and they don't pick up their phone to answer a text. So, kind of make a hierarchy, but there's people I'll hit all those ways until I get, I know that they're seeing it. But yeah, the anything mass is the least effective. So mass emails, mass texts, mass, like a Facebook post, So the more personal, the better. And it's going to take you, have the plan like Ange mentioned. Here's a plan of attack. BOGOs are announced. I'm going to create my text list. I'm going to create my phone call list. I'm going to hunt this person out at the gym and just have that method ready to go. And it's going to take you some time to reach out to those people, but it'll be worth it. When they get in that group, you can do that group education.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great question. Here.
We're talking about incentives here, so I'd like to talk about when someone purchases a kit. I'd like to think that the kit alone is worth the money that they're spending for it, and we don't have to dangle out a bunch of incentives for people to be buying this. The power of what they're getting is amazing, and I want to do a duplicatable incentive. So our team has always done this book, this in the popular book, but I feel like the book in the box that's coming out now is amazing. My new builders, I don't want them to ask them to buy these books to have to incentivize and give up half of their fast start. Whereas I, as a large builder, know that I invest a good portion of my business back into my incentives. So I tell my new advocates that I'll buy the first 3 books for their new Home Essentials kits are higher. But I'm like, this new book that's coming out is absolutely phenomenal. Is it necessary to do extra books? And I'm curious what incentives you do. Do you surprise them with an incentive after they purchase? Or do you tell them what you're going to give them first? I know on social media we can't really say in a public way what we're doing. I love the idea of a welcome kit, like a little welcome thing with a few oils that they haven't used or stuff. But I think sometimes my advocates are like, okay, do I do what she's doing or do my own thing or whatever? Because they watch me. They are doing what I am doing because I got to where I did when I did, and they're like, well, okay, I want to do what Shelly's doing. But I see some of them are like, oh, and then I also have to put through my monthly LRP, so they're kind of poor building this business, you know what I mean? So incentives, what are your thoughts?
I think surprise and delight is the best way to go, not incentivizing people to enroll with you. So I love sending a little welcome package in the mail, and it costs me $7. So I might be reinvesting half of my fast start back into that person. But that's worked really well. And so what I send is a whole bunch of samples, because typically they're rolling with Home Essentials. So personally. So I like to expose them to the things that they didn't get in their kit. So On Guard toothpaste sample, Deep Blue sample, Slim and Sassy gum sample, Breathe drop, On Guard drop, and then a little usage guide that cost me $1. Something that's going to get them started. Now, but now that we have these books, I mean, might not need to even do that, right? But in there, I also, my new plan is to include a copy of the new Live guide. So I'll just tuck that in the mail. I put a stamp on it and drop it in. So I'm not packaging it up, and everything fits in a little, the little envelopes. It doesn't cost a lot of postage. But the other way to really, again, build value is figuring out a way to offer some kind of a lifestyle overview with them. Now, I know not everyone picks up the phone, so one strategy is to do a group welcome once a month with everyone new. Invite them onto a private Skype or a private Zoom or whatever you use. Use the new the new Live guide to flow that conversation. It's beautiful. You don't even have to send it to them. You could actually just send them the virtual link to have open for your life, the overview that you're going to do. But these are the kinds of things, when you think about brands like Apple, BMW, Lululemon, do they ever do stuff like that to incentivize people to choose them? And this is what doTERRA is. There are hundreds of other oil companies that might get up to those kinds of games. You don't need to do that. Because people are already coming to you because they're ready for the Cadillac of oils. They're kind of not expecting a big incentive, okay? Because they know the real value is going to be in the oils, like you said, and then the journey they get with you. That's why this had to be network marketing the whole time, right?
And then,
I was just going to ask, kind of playing on, some people were talking about hostess incentives and getting class incentives, and what's sort of your take? We've dabbled sort of lots of different things in my business. Diffusers, is it a point value incentive for the number of enrollments and the number of points? What's your take on that, and what do you advise your teams in that regard?
Well, first, the feedback has been given to doTERRA that this might be something we need to figure out. But for right now, it's up to us to decide how we're going to do that. And wholesale customer did shift how this works because now a lot of people aren't wanting to be a wellness advocate. They just want to get their friends together for a class. So it is a bit of a gray area. So what I do is I'll typically give them 10% commission based on the enrollments of the class. And that's just something I would PayPal them after the class. In the past, I've done PV for a certain amount of enrollments. So you could even create your own hosting guide. I did that when I first started before the share program came and went. So we're kind of back at that now. But like a hosting guide where if they have, just for hosting, they get an intro kit of oils, right? The lemon, lavender, peppermint. If they have 3 to 5 enrollments, maybe it's a pedal diffuser and an intro kit. You kind of work out so that what you're giving them would be half of what you're earning. I think that's a really good business, makes good business sense to reinvest half of your fast start back into your business.
Yep.
Do you have any thoughts?
I think, I love what you said with the 10% back. For us, I found it's kind of what that hostess needs at that time. So sometimes it's a booklet, like the little spiral bound ones, even we don't have to do the giant ones, a booklet or a smaller diffuser. One really fun idea, I saw someone have the keychains, and they showed the hostess, here's your keychain. When you book the class with me, here you go. And then for every person who comes to the class, we'll fill it up with an oil. And I think that's just really creative and cool. And it's not super expensive. So that was fun too. Just throw that in there.
Okay, I think we have one more question.
Ooh, no pressure.
So it's got to be a good one, or else we won't answer it. No, I'm just kidding. Ooh, nope. Not that much. Not that much pressure. I'm sorry. I put a little way too much pressure on it. Any other questions, please?
Yeah, in your welcome kit. So you mentioned the things. Do you put a note in there as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Handwritten note to them. Okay.
No, I do handwrite recognition cards, but welcome ones, I actually made up a script font. It's like a welcome to our team, and on there I have an image of like a Facebook icon that with the link I even went so far as to create little QR codes, if anyone even uses those anymore, so they could just scan and join the group. It's not like the 90s called. I was like, there's got to be a better way. But yeah, I link up the Facebook group. I link up the new Live Guide on there. So I'm kind of quickly connecting them to their tools, and I did them on postcard stock.
Do you send that to every new enrollment?
Personal enrollment, not my team enrollments. No.
What would you do for those people that are sharing, that aren't necessarily tapping into, hey, do this because it's the best for that person, but they're not really doing it? Do you step in?
No, I don't. Like everything is available to them. You do your best to ensure that happens, but I think that's what gives network marketing a bad vibe. If you go between the enroller to the person they've enrolled, people don't like to be contacted by people they don't know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Any final words of wisdom? Doesn't have to be related to anything, but like the incentive trip gem that you're going to drop right now. And then Jill.
All right. So get on Google Calendar and create